Okay, what's going on, everybody? My name is Mangg. Welcome back to Hanging with Mangg, where we are playing a little bit of Diablo 2 with Median XL. Pretty much the only way I'd want to play Diablo 2 at this point in history. I am recording some videos for this game, this mod, so those will come out eventually. Yeah, we'll just do a little progressing through hell. Probably turn the sound down a little bit. Right. Yeah, mostly just been playing, of course, Dominions. I'm about a week away, probably, maybe a little less, from finishing pretty much every nation that's in the game. Every vanilla nation, of course, and not every single modded nation, but I would say 93% of modded nations. There's some that I didn't pick up and didn't grab for one reason or another, but not many. So it's a lot. I mean, it's a lot. It's certainly over 400. No. Can it be that many? Yeah, I think it is maybe over 400. So yeah, after that, I'll probably be starting up Conquest of Elysium 5 and recording some of that. I don't know if I'll go as hog wild, because at this point, I don't like the game as much, but I mean, I don't like any game as much, so it is what it is. But I am kind of excited because I certainly enjoy recording Dominions more than just playing it on my own. So I'm excited to see if it's a lot of fun to record Conquest of Elysium. Which I imagine will be. Yep. Aside from that, you know, I've been playing Median XL here and there a little bit. Recording some of that. And that's kind of it, really. Battlefield 6 came out Friday, and apparently it's pretty good. Apparently a lot of people are happy with it. I have not picked it up yet. I didn't really want to handle all the server issues and stuff. I figure I could wait a week or two while I'm playing Median XL and Dominion. It's kind of it, you know. Ghost of Yote came out as well, but I think I mentioned I'm just gonna skip that on PS5. If I could emulate PS5 on my PC, I'd for sure pick it up. But otherwise, I'm probably okay waiting for a PC release. Like those big open world, you know, exploration kind of games, it's tough. I mean, if I was going to play one of those right now, it'd probably be Horizon Forbidden West. But I own that on PS5. I don't really want to play on my PS5. It's okay. I don't mind playing on it, I guess. I just don't want to... I don't have the means to record it, really, for Ghost of Yote. But I guess I could play Forbidden West. But now it's on PC, and it's like, why didn't I just fucking wait? I barely played it on PS5 as it was. But yeah, I'm not super into those big open world games anymore. It's just a lot of time, and I just feel so obsessive about doing every single thing, and and the plot for Ghost of Yotei sounded literally identical to Assassin's Creed Shadows, which is the last one of those games that I played. So, I don't know. Ubisoft really beat him to the punch on that plot. Anyways, that's about all there is to say, I guess. Ooh, an enchanted room. Omnirune. Of course. Cool. There's other things. I really should finish Wizardry 8. So I can actually upload all the Wizardry videos. Because, you know, I recorded quite a few. But I don't really want to start uploading it without knowing that it's done. Because otherwise you run into some real issues, and then I feel like I have to record it. And I don't like that. I also, yeah, gotta do some more solo RPGs, and I probably should have done something for Horror Month. There are plenty of, like, little kind of somewhat, you know, indie horror experiences that aren't just, like, first-person jump scare shit. So there's plenty of things. It's just Dominions, man. Really just took over my fucking life. I've lost friends and family over Dominion. No, not really, but I just can't get anyone else to play it. Only Lego plays it, and that's really only on stream. He doesn't really play it on his own. It's just so good, though. Lego and I tried on Wednesday. We tried Songs of Silence. So we finished up. We finished up Hollow Knight, and we were playing Conquest of Elysium, but he got really frustrated with it because Lego is a very big sore loser. Always has been, whole life. There was a time. We had a mutual friend when we were young down the street, and I remember he got Super Smash Brothers on the N64. We played it in his basement, and he got just so angry at losing. I mean, it's like he's not a fighting game guy, but when you're kids, you just, you know, you play with friends, whatever. He got so angry, our mom banned him, I think, from ever playing that game again. And then another time, I think he was playing on the SNES NBA Jam. I want to say against my brother-in-law, our brother-in-law. And there he got so angry that he ripped it out of the SNES and threw it across the room, hitting the wall where it broke. And that was the last we played of NBA Jam. You know, he's certainly gotten better over the years, but yeah, there's still some of that in him. So he didn't take too well to doing poorly in Conquest of Elysium, which is a somewhat kind of random game until you really know your shit. You know, it's a rogue-like, sort of. Rogue-lite, really. And so you just gotta get good. And then it becomes kind of less random feeling. But he's not gonna do that, so he was kind of done with Conquest of Elysium. So I sent him a couple games that he might be interested in. One was Songs of Conquest, which is basically Heroes of Might and Magic. Not a ripoff, but literally just a third-party Heroes of Might and Magic. The other one was Songs of Silence, which looked sort of like kind of a cross between a little bit of Heroes, a little bit of Total War, maybe a little bit of Dominions, but not super like, not super complex, not super deep or anything. And he liked the look of that one quite a bit, so we grabbed it and we streamed that on Wednesday for a bit. And it is pretty interesting. It's not really a game that I would play, but that's because I love fucking Dominions. And that game doesn't really do anything for me that Dominions doesn't do. And it's sure as hell missing a lot of stuff that Dominions does. You know, it's a much simpler game, and I am not a simple man. But Lego, you know, he really liked it. But it had one fatal fucking flaw, one crucial mistake that means that, honestly, we'll never play it again. And the devs can, you know, they can rationalize that however they feel, but the bottom line is we're never going to play it again. And that's the lack of simultaneous turns. There's no simultaneous turns. There is no... On top of that, there's no simultaneous turns, and there's no, like, battle report system. Because you can't skip the battle in any way, because it's a very active battle kind of thing. It's not like Dominions. It's not an auto-battler. It's... You have to go into the battle, and part of it is an auto-battler, where your troops are just moving forward on their own. You can't control the troops directly, but you have these, like, spells in battle that you can keep casting. They each have a cooldown, and you have a limited number of, like, spells that you can cast that affect the battlefield in one way or another. And so you can't skip that, because they're pretty vital to actually winning each fight most of the time. Like, they're pretty powerful effects, so it's like an important thing. You have to be involved in the battle, and it has to play out at normal speed. And you have to do this for every battle. And as the game goes on, you might have, like, 3 or 4 battles a turn. And with no simultaneous turns or anything like that, you have to sit there when it's not your turn, as anyone you're playing the game with does all their turns and all their battles. And those battles don't even pop up automatically for you to watch. Apparently, you can click on the battle site, and you'll be able to watch it as it goes on. But yeah, no simultaneous turns at all. And like those turns, especially Lego, that's been my biggest problem playing with Lego most of the time, is that he takes a long time to make decisions and to read everything and all that, and that's fine. There's probably plenty of people like that. It is what it is. But, you know, I don't want to sit there for a stream for half the night, and I'm just sitting there like on my phone or playing a different game because I don't want to just sit there and twiddle my thumbs while he takes his turn. Nor do I think that he should feel rushed while taking his turns, because he obviously needs to take his time. And so the final solution then really is just to not play that game. Together, you know? Like, and he even said he'd rather play Dominions then, because it's just... And I don't take incredibly long on my turns, but it's still, the battles, they cannot be faster. So we actually had, I think, the devs chime in, or the community manager, or whatever. they popped into the stream after we were done playing it. We were playing Diablo. They're like, oh, well, thanks for, you know, checking us out, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, I think we didn't see it right away. So, you know, Lego said, like, oh, it just had simultaneous turns. I doubt they heard it. They probably left right away, but yeah, I mean, that's it. If you had simultaneous turns, we would probably play it some more. It still would be a little iffy just due to the battles. Like, if I take my turn and I don't have any battles, and you take your turn at the same time, and you have 4 battles, no matter what, I'm waiting. But it would still be a lot better. God damn, these guys hit hard. So yeah, that was that. I said we probably would have preferred Songs of Conquest because apparently that does have simultaneous turns. And that made me want to check on the new Heroes game coming out, Heroes of Might and Magic, and they have announced that there is also full simultaneous turns. So it's just, you can't release a turn-based strategy game nowadays without some support for that. Like, figure it out somehow, you know? Anyways. Over on the Exploring series this week, I put out a video on a horror movie, Butterfly Kisses. And to the surprise of absolutely no one, it did really poorly. It's currently at about 18,000 views, which is one of my worst performing videos in the last 8 years. It's especially a bummer if, you know, I put that out and it got 18,000 views and the comments were like, yeah, you know, yeah, nice. I can see how this has appealed to some people. And then there were a bunch of comments that are just like, Mangg, I mean, I love you, but this ain't it, you know, that sort of thing. But all the comments I get are just so nice and favorable, and they're just like, wow, I love these, this is so good, please more of this. And it's like the only content that like multiple family members actually want and watch, and they love it. And they don't, and the thing is, I'm literally making videos for non-horror fans. That's the thing. Because actual horror fans will just watch the horror movie. But, like, my mom doesn't watch horror movies. Lego doesn't watch horror movies. My aunt doesn't watch horror movies. But they like this content for some reason. You'd think they'd also like SCP then, but I don't know what to tell you. I can't quite explain it. I just observe it. So probably if I made a new channel that was just horror summaries, it probably would do okay. I'm not gonna say amazing or anything, you know, who knows. It'd probably do okay. But I don't really want to do that because I'm a lazy bastard and I only really want to work on one project at a time. Speaking of different projects, DJ Cactus messaged me this week. And he had written a new article and he wanted to share it with me, which he doesn't do for all his articles, so he must have been kind of pleased with it or thought that it would really appeal to me more than others or something. But yeah, he must have been pretty pleased with it. And I said, "Wow, you're really on a roll right now." And apparently he's been working a hell of a lot, so much that his employers basically forced him to take a break. And so he's been spending that time writing. It's not much of a break, but hmm. And so I asked him then if if he gave any more thought to like that side project that we talked about. Yeah, I didn't like the prod, but it seemed like a good opening in the conversation about that. So, and he said that he has given it some more thought. And he was sorry about not getting back to me. And I think he's on just like a vacation right now. That seemed to be what he said. So when he gets back and everything, we're gonna talk shop, as he said. He said that he needs a side pro. He needs something different. And I said, yeah. I mean, I figured we both could use that. So yeah, it's back in business, sort of. We'll see how it goes. No expectations, no disappointments, as I always say. But it would be nice to do something not SCP. I mean, this would be a different channel, of course. This would be a whole separate thing. But and well, for one, it would be nice to just not write anything, I guess. I mean, writing the script and everything is mostly what my job is. So it's like, it's fine. But it is certainly easier to just narrate stuff. I'm sure for a little while, if this project gets underway, I'll have to do the editing and all that and blah, blah, blah. But if it picks up, it would be nice to just like also hire an editor, someone that knows some shit. I mean, it's probably just gonna be like a podcast. I mean, I'm sure I'll upload it to YouTube, but it'll really just be a podcast.
This is no place for.
I don't even know if hold on. Okay. Yeah, so it's just the big sort of inspiration of what started the conversation was me mentioning Old Gods of Appalachia. And they have it on YouTube, of course, although it doesn't really get many views, does it? I imagine they're mostly known through podcasts, but they do upload it to YouTube. And I mean, they just upload the audio with like a still image. Yeah. I wonder how I'd find their like audio number, like listeners. I don't think Spotify ever shows that kind of stuff. Not for podcasts. I think Apple Podcast should show. Well, it shows that they have 4,700 ratings. Okay. What do I have on Apple Podcasts? 796. Okay. So, yeah, I mean, they're like, what, like 6 times bigger than I am? It's pretty big. Yeah, it's pretty big. I don't know what their listenership is for like episode 90 or whatever, their latest episode. But I mean, they're still getting really good reviews in recent weeks. They're rated 4.9 on there, and it, you know. So, yeah, I mean, I'd upload the episodes to YouTube on a separate channel, but it would mostly be a podcast thing, because I don't want to really handle all the images and stuff. Double set amulets on the same draw. Jesus. Wow. So I'm excited to see what he cooks up. You know, like, Old Gods was kind of the starting point for the conversation, but I said at the time, like, it doesn't have to be, you know, that sort of rustic folk horror kind of thing, even though I do enjoy that, but honestly, if I was to pick like one article that he's written that I would like it to be sort of, that I think would be cool for it to be similar to, maybe at least in tone and everything, is this thing A Quiet Madness made. Like, I still just, like, randomly just think about that article from time to time, and, like, the imagery associated with it and everything. It's just... fucking, he cooked with that one as far as I'm concerned. I mean, you know, the Cactus Verse and Project Paragon and all that, like, that's just kind of his big thing, and I do really love it. But I think for, like, an audio drama kind of thing, this thing A Quiet Madness made is more the blueprint. But we'll see. I mean, I'm not gonna... I'll mention that to him, I guess, but I'm not gonna restrict him or anything like that, or like, no, I think it should be this. Let him cook. So again, I have no idea if or when any of this will happen. You know as much as I do at this moment. Fuck. Starting to get beat up pretty hard now. Right, so this week I worked on explained SCPs. SCPs with the explained tag that are not necessarily explained, to say the least. But there's some interesting ones in there. And it's good to do these sort of compilations of a bunch of different ones, because then I can do another 11 hours to sleep to or something. I might do another one of those in January. Because there's still a bunch of, like, there's all, like, the groups of interest ones that I didn't put in the compilation, the other one. Stop shooting me, you fucks! that's pretty much it. And then next week I'll be working on a horror movie video on Pulse, which I expect will also not do too well. Man, oh man, I got a lot of barb shit. Ooh, that's perfect. Pulse. One of my favorite horror movies that I only discovered recently, but I need to share it with the world. It's gonna be good. Probably will not get any views, but I don't even care. Right. So... RPG shit. We continued our Tales of Argosa homebrew campaign of my own devising. And my aunt was absent this week, so it's just 3 of them. And I had a thought of maybe just doing a side adventure, like within the campaign. Something more like mystery focused, or, you know, less combat focused or something like that. But my mom was basically like, well, you know, we're fine either way, so, you know, if you want to do less work, that's probably good. And, you know, just running the same campaign is probably less work, I guess. I mean, I don't have to... yeah, because I guess I was going to run, like, a separate module, and having to read through that and... you know, make sure I comprehend it, especially for a mystery. You kind of want to know that inside and out. I guess it's easier to just keep doing a dungeon and stuff. So they, so the 3 of them were in the dungeon, and they poked around a little bit. They went through a couple more rooms. They had a couple more random encounters. And I do like the underclock system, but... there is something to be said about actually random encounters, where they don't know that they're coming. It creates this sort of real organic tension, whereas the underclock creates kind of an inorganic tension in that, oh, well, the encounter's coming up, we better get in this room. It's impossible to metagame true random encounters, other than just being fucking cautious at all times, which is how they should be, really. You know? Whereas with the underclock, they're somewhat cautious through every room and stuff, because it's like, well, you know, we don't know what's in this room. But then when the underclock gets low, it's like, oh, well, suddenly my spidey sense is tingling. Better hide in this room and barricade the door for reasons that only the player knows and not the characters. So yeah, I mean, I did that as well when I played with the underclock solo and stuff. I get it, but I just don't like that. I mean, I didn't really question it too much as a player when I was a solo player. It's just like, well, of course I'm gonna fucking bunker in this. That's a smart thing to do. I didn't really think about the verisimilitude of it. But then as a DM, it's like, fuck. I mean, why would your characters barricade this room suddenly, you know? And just, I mean, Lego's literally just like, we sit here and we wait 20 minutes. It's like, why? Why would your characters do that? So, I like, and then there are some that say, well, you could hide the underclock so you don't show it. And then it's like, at that point, I guess you could. I mean, it's probably sort of the halfway point. The players don't have that constant metagame thing, but it's also not just completely random. Because the other week, when I was rolling random encounters, I went through like 12 rolls and never got a 1. You know, I never got a random encounter. Whereas the underclock would have definitely had 2 encounters by that point. Or you can have the flip side. You could actually roll 3 random encounters in a row. So maybe the underclock, but just hiding the clock is probably the solution I wanna go for. You can still metagame it a little bit as a player, because you'd be like, well, we just had a random encounter. There probably won't be one for, like, another, you know, however many turns. People have done the math on it. I think it's like 6 turns or something like that. Like, it works out. Or, I don't know. I don't remember the exact math, but it was something. Yep. Andy's pretty easy after all that other bullshit. But the thing that I observed this time was that I don't know if the players really know what a random encounter is, or when it isn't a random encounter. Like,
My work.
when they don't have that meta thing hanging over their head, at least my players, because they're pretty dumb. I don't think they really know if it's like, oh, that was a random encounter he just rolled. It's just kind of part of the ongoing sort of horror that is a dungeon, you know? Like, I think they definitely thought that some of that stuff was just scripted, you know? And it kind of made the dungeon feel more alive then. Because there was one encounter, I rolled up mongrel men. And, you know, I could have just had, well, a group of 6 mongrel men jump around the corner and stab you. But I was like, no, these guys are really furtive and cautious and things like that. So I just wanted to do kind of like a horror movie where it's a little bit of just like, you hear some sounds and like fleeting glimpses of them. And they were like, oh, well, you know, they're around. There must be something living around here, and, you know, things like that. It's like, okay, you know, like they're treating it more like a living location, which it is. And that's how it should be. So I think they did a fight or two. They definitely avoided a couple fights on purpose. But I think they decided to leave because I don't remember exactly why they decided to leave. I think one of them got beat up a little bit. So they went back up. They went out the way they came, all that. They went back home. And they did their... I don't think they did a long rest, though. Well, that began the great debacle about the side quests. That's right. Yeah, the side quest debacle. They... When we first started the campaign, I gave them a bunch of side quests that were around town. Like, oh, the tailors need this, you know, and the herbalist needs this, you know, just like random sort of MMO-esque side quests. Not really like, oh, collect 10 boar's tongues for me, please, but, you know, just not major quests, and they were aware that they were side quests. And then Lego immediately pounced on the one side quest that led to the mega dungeon, even though he didn't know that at the time. And so... I don't know if they remembered there were side quests, or I remarked that there were side quests, or something like that. And so they started trying to remember what they were. Because my aunt is the only one that takes notes. And she doesn't take very good notes. So they eventually started looking through all her notes. And they believed they found the section where she listed the side quests. But it literally just contained, like, the people's names. Like, the quest givers' names. It had no information whatsoever. And this had been a week ago at the time. And some of the side quests just didn't make any sense. Like, the guy... I think the tailors, their apprentice went missing. And it's like, well, he's the long fucking dead. You know, like, okay, that's done. Or some pigs went missing. That's done. I think there was another one I don't remember that just doesn't make any sense anymore. But there were still a few available. And so they ended up going to the garrison commander, because that was the one they had the most info about, because it was something about a big animal. And so the garrison commander tells them that he's been getting some reports from some of the local farms that there's a big animal stalking about and like nabbing some livestock and stuff. And so they trek out just eastwards where the reports were. Really no thoughts. They left at like 5:30 because they got back from the dungeon. They didn't even spend the night at home or anything. They just, all right, let's go. So 5:30, they just start heading out into the countryside in the vague search of a big animal. I didn't have any of this planned. I didn't even know what animal it was, really. I was just like, okay. I think ChatGPT supplied this as a side quest. And I was like, yeah, all right, we can flesh that out at some point. And that point was now, apparently. So I still didn't have a big animal picked out, but it was funny because they had no plans of how to find this thing or how to track it or anything. They were just heading out in the evening to find it somewhere. I think there was a discussion about like knocking on one of the farmhouses and asking around and blah, 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 but it was getting dark. So they were like, well, we should get back home. And so then I was like, okay, well, let's get a navigation to see if you can make your way back home in the dark. Or we roll a wilderness lore or whatever. And the only one with wilderness lore, I think, was my nephew, who has an intelligence of like 4. So he obviously catastrophically failed. You didn't need wilderness lore, you needed intelligence. But he had wilderness lore. Really, anyone else should have rolled. But I made the mistake of calling for a wilderness lore, which is not how Tales of Argosa really does it. I should have just called for intelligence, and then the player chimes in if they have a skill that's relevant. Certain skills, though, I think are necessary, but probably not in this case. I think anyone with a brain could probably figure out how to navigate their way back home. So they got lost. And I rolled up a random encounter, and it was something like... I don't remember. It was some sort of dangerous terrain located. Like, they get caught in, like, a dense forest or something like that. And I was like, okay, so the fog starts rising. They end up in a forest, and they hear, like, a howl. I was like, well, we may as well have them bump into the animal, because why not? Like, action keeps things moving along. And they hear a howl, and their first thought was that it was a werewolf. Not that it was, like, a big wolf. Specifically, it was a werewolf. And I'm like, okay, fine. Like, okay, animal decided. But I didn't go with a werewolf. I went with a were-boar. So they set up camp in the forest, and they kept watch. And she rolled really well on her perception checks, so she kind of sees this rustling. She wakes the others. But I'm like, okay, the were-boar, he's pissed. He's going to attack. So a, like, hand axe comes flying out of the woods. And this really surprised them. They expected, like, anything but that. It misses narrowly. And then a giant boar charges out. And this really confused them. They thought there were, like, multiple attackers coming. There's a guy and his boar or something. Like, they did not think were-boar. Good. Keep them on their toes. So they get into a fight with this were-boar. And, you know, werewolves, lycanthropes, they're immune to basically anything except silver or magic. And I picked the animal because I knew that my mom had a silver hammer that she got out of the dungeon. So I knew they had some form of damage. And so, you know, they all started attacking it to little effect. But my mom landed a big hit with a hammer, silver hammer. And it's like, oh, well, he obviously felt that. And so he just beelined over and over, targeted her. But I was not rolling great, and she was rolling spectacularly well. And so they killed the were-boar without much trouble. So that was pretty good. They got some XP and all that, and so on and so forth. And then they slept through the night. And in the morning, there was a bunch of discussion about how to prove that they killed this animal. So they ended up eventually just dragging back the carcass of the were-boar. He reverted to human form. So they were just dragging this guy's carcass across the thing, and he's like 680 pounds, you know, he's massive. So there was a discussion where I was trying to like quickly leaf through the Axe rulebook, trying to figure out how much you can drag. And I could not find it in the Axe rulebook. It might have been in the judge's journal or something, but you'd think that it was in the revised rulebook of how much a character can drag based on their strength. Axe is so particular and meticulous that I couldn't believe that it wasn't available. I think I did even search through, you know, the PDF for drag, but I get a lot of results for dragons. Yeah, I don't know. A lot of dragons. So, I don't know if anyone's familiar with Axe and knows where in a rulebook, if any, it mentions how much you can drag on the ground. I ended up going with like D&D 5th edition numbers, which is probably a little inflated. But yeah, I figured the three of them could drag this guy around. I mean, it would be slow and kind of tiring, but they could do it. And so they dragged this guy's carcass into town, in the middle of town. And obviously it caused a bit of a hubbub. But they explained the situation to the garrison commander and everything. And Lego is a Lego's a paladin, and I decreed the last time we did this campaign, or this game, that all paladins are paladins of Bahamut, and they have to wear their emblem visibly. Otherwise, it's like a fuck you to their god. So it always earns him a little bit of leeway in good civilized areas. So I let him roll persuasion with advantage, just on the very off chance that this is just like it's wildly just misconstrued. That was probably unnecessary, but you know, you never know. Yeah, so they're like, okay, well, we'll take care of that, and then he offered the 5 gold as a reward, but Lego refused it because they're swimming in money, so it's not really a big deal. And that was pretty much it. I think that's pretty much where we ended, to be honest. Like, we didn't do much. But yeah, I mean, they enjoyed it. So it's definitely a slow-going campaign. I mean, this is a massive thing. They are about to hit level 3, which is fairly powerful, but again, like, any sort of unfortunate sequence of events can knock them back down to 1 as a new character. They have nothing in their XP fund. They might start putting it into their XP fund, but they also want to spend money on other stuff. But I made it a little tricky. Like, they're strongly incentivized to go help liberate Stoneford, the nearby bigger town, because that'll give them a much bigger like base of operations to purchasing out of and things like that. Like, Stoneford gets regular trips usually from bigger merchants and things like that, so they're much more well stocked. It's a bigger market. It's not as big as the city that's like 2 weeks away, but it's much better. But if they just sit on their laurels and don't go liberate it from, you know, it's under siege currently, if they don't help out and stop that, you know, the big bad warlord dude it's not going to be as pleasant of a place for them. It's not going to be as much of a thriving marketplace. So, like, he's going to just basically convert the whole town into kind of a factory for growing his army and stuff. And I think there was a little bit of a discussion about this, and I think Lego actually, they used their question for God to ask me. He asked me if it was actually possible to save that town, and I'm like, well, of fucking course it is. It's, you know, why would I put that in there? It's like, no, you can't. It's impossible. You will fail no matter what you do. Like, of course it's possible. It's a sandbox campaign. That's the whole point. Um, Now, I obviously, when I put that in there, I have no conceivable idea of how they'll liberate the town and stop the siege. But, you know, the usual thing for a D&D party is kind of guerrilla tactics. You just sort of really hamper the supply lines for his forces, sabotage things, all sorts of stuff like that. I mean, you can work from the other side and try and defend the town in a proper way. I don't know what you do exactly. Rallying the militia to actually like charge out or something, or some sort of magic item thing. I don't know. It's not for me to decide. I mean, theoretically, they could ride to the city 2 weeks away and hire some sort of mercenary band to come in and try and wage the war and stop the siege. I mean, obviously, the warlord's not investing all his troops on Stoneford, although it is a good chunk of his troops at the moment, because he knows if he takes Stoneford, he'll be gaining a significant sort of conscription. But you know, he's trying to spread himself a little thin here all over the region, because he's also trying to recruit a lot of monsters and control various aspects. But Stoneford is kind of his main focus right now, so it's not an easy task to save Stoneford from his rule. Because even if you stop the siege, I mean, you have to kind of do a number on him, otherwise he'll just be right back. So it has to be something sort of serious for him to be like, okay, I can't focus on Stoneford now, I'm going to focus on other avenues. Like, you have to hurt him. You have to fucking hurt him. I don't know how they're not very good. They're pretty bad. Let's be honest. So I don't know what they'll do, if anything, about it, but I do have sort of a timetable of when Stoneford will fall. I think it was like 2 months or something. Well, according to this outline put together by ChatGPT, which I didn't really approve or anything, I just spitballing, it put it at 6 months in. I don't know if a town could stay under siege for that long. You know? Really, I think a siege lasts like a week or something. Like, I don't know. List of sieges. Oh, here's from Ask History, the longest sieges. This one was 26 years siege. Okay, it can go on for years, apparently. The Siege of Sarajevo, that's relatively modern. That was in 1992 to 1996. 4-year-long siege. But that was like, yeah, so I think there's a difference between like a city under siege and like a fortress under siege. Because I'm mainly picturing Stoneford as being like having a big wall and stuff, like a walled siege. So, you know, it's sort of ancient kind of history stuff. Um, I don't know. But I guess the Siege of Jerusalem. How long did that go on? That went on for 4 months. Okay. Okay. Maybe 6 months is reasonable. Seems like a hell of a long time, but I guess. I mean, it's tough. If you don't have siege equipment, and we're going to assume that the warlord does not have siege equipment, it's probably pretty tough. Um, Yeah, I'm thinking of like from the third book in the third Law trilogy, or the first Law trilogy. I'm sorry, the third book in the first Law trilogy. There's a big siege up in the mountains of like a fort, essentially. Like not even they have a wall, and that one I think goes on just for like a week or something like that. But there's no siege equipment, and it's really just like throwing bodies at it over and over and over. Um, I'll probably stick on like 4 months. If 4 months go by and they haven't solved the problem, then they lost the chance. But yeah, I mean they're enjoying it, and I definitely don't mind DMing it because I'm not really doing much work. It's not like prep work or anything. I could do more prep, but it's pretty simple. I mean, most of it's just homebrew, and then there's just like pre-written dungeons, and then when things come up, I just improvise, like with the werebore and stuff. So yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, I'm curious to see how far they go along through Barrow Maze, because it doesn't really. It's getting them a lot of money. They are getting XP. That is pretty important. In some ways, I'm a little bummed because there's so many like other smaller dungeons they could have done by now. Whereas Barrow Maze is a little one note, which was my problem when I ran it solo. But if they enjoy it, they enjoy it. I just worry that they feel like they have to complete it, which is a tall order. I still haven't told them how big it is, but I think they know it's pretty big. We'll see. All right, I think that's about it then. So we've got more Dominions, of course, forever till the end of time. The rest of Silk Song, which is pretty darn soon. I don't know, we just uploaded 18 yesterday, so I think there's 22 parts total. So I don't know if we'll finish this week, but pretty soon. And then we have solo RPGs. I still have a lot of that. How many precisely do I have? Oh boy. 24 G. I upload that. All that. I think that was the last. Nope, that one. That one. I think that's it. That's 37. I have 37 more solo RPG videos to upload, and I'd like to record some more. But there's other things that I want to upload too, so we'll see. Other things I want to record, of course. I don't know. I have content till the end of my days. On the Exploring series, we have explained SCPs tomorrow and Pulse next week. And then I am putting together a Lovecraft reading on The Dreams in the Witch House, is what I settled on for this year. I should do more Lovecraft throughout the year, but there's not that many Lovecraft stories. And once I run out, it's going to be a real bummer. So I'm kind of trying to savor it and make it last. But anyways, my name is Mangg. This has been Hanging with Mangg. I'll see you fine folk